So, Real Madrid lined up in a similar 4-3-3 to their previous game against Pachuca. However, this game was a real chance to see how Alonso wants to play. Let's move on to Real Madrid here, because the 11 men, we've got the starting team from the first game here, and from the second game, and because Asensio had been sent off, we thought this would be the team because it was only that one change. But this is how they actually lined up. Very, very different. Alonso making his mark on this Real Madrid team. And it was very, very different to even those first 10 minutes of that second game of the competition for Real Madrid. Cormac, talk us through the shape on the tactics board here, because we're going to go work through the team here, because there's three players in particular we're going to chat about. We're going to chat about Tchouaméni, Güler, and Vinicius Jr., but we could talk about a few others as well. Let's start with Tchouaméni, because it was a three at the back, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and overall, this is the shape that brought him so much success with Bayer Leverkusen, and I think the role of Tchouaméni is really interesting to analyse, because we have seen him play in a deep position for Real Madrid, but not this deep, specifically out of possession as well. I was really caught off guard by how deep he was, and it was generally a back three. I really didn't expect to see it so early on in Xabi Alonso's time with Real Madrid.
He stayed put, didn't he?
Exactly, and we've got some clips both offensively and defensively, and I think offensively it worked incredibly well. There was so much control in possession. His control in the centre of Tchouaméni allowed Rudiger and Hausen to push forward. They had so many line breakers in this team. It had the fullback stretching the pitch, so Trent was used a lot wider than you would see in the previous games and at Liverpool. But then I think defensively, maybe there are some changes you could make. Do you really think Real Madrid needed to be this defensive? I felt like at times Tchouaméni was not really doing much in this position, and Arda Güler was maybe exposed sometimes in this position as well, because Salzburg, even though it was a great performance for Real Madrid, there were moments where they did have control and were able to suffocate Real Madrid in their own half. So I think maybe Tchouaméni defensively, if he stepped a little bit further up the pitch, that might have been even more beneficial.
Yeah, because, you know, we're getting all these sort of tasters of these different setups. And Arda Güler, you spoke about there, kind of on that left-hand side. We wondered if that might occur. Even in those first 10 minutes, he did like to drop deep. Defensively, I am slightly concerned about that channel, because on the other side, if Bellingham stepped in, Arda Güler is just that little bit weaker over on this side. But his performance overall was really, really good. He had 84 touches and his pass completion was really strong. You enjoyed him, didn't you, Lee?
Yeah, I really did. I think Arda Güler is a very talented player, and I've been a little frustrated over the last year or so about Ancelotti's usage of him, but Xabi Alonso has come in and really kind of cited him as a player that he is counting on this season. We saw him early on the right wing, almost as a Rodrigo replacement, but he started playing in midfield the last few games. And I think he really adds a dimension to Real Madrid that maybe no one else other than Luka Modric, who's ironically leaving the club, kind of provides. So if we look at a few of the clips, you can see Arda Güler is just so comfortable at receiving the ball from deep, likes kind of going into that left-back position, similar to Modric to pick up the ball. But this kind of pass is in his locker, and I'm not sure a few other guys have. I love Bellingham, I love Valverde, but Arda just has a natural calmness on the ball, and I see the line-splitting passes as well, too, something that really adds. I think he had the most forward passes in this game. That pass right there is brilliant, leads to a Real Madrid chance, and Vinicius, I mean, is going to be a huge benefactor of it. So Arda Güler, it remains to be seen with the physical side to the game, because I definitely agree. There was a bit of a problem there. I do think Salzburg kind of exposed him at times. But if you can surround him with the right kind of profiles, athletes, physical figures, I think Arda's beneficiary on the ball will be huge for Real Madrid.
Yeah, 61 of his 66 passes were accurate. No key passes. And I think that kind of tells the story.
Yeah.
He was the pass before the pass a lot of the time.
That, yeah.
And we're going to touch on the goals here in a second, Jules. But Vinicius Jr., a lot of talk about him, a lot of talk about his form in the last few months and his role within this team. This front three was really, really interesting in terms of how narrow they were, and it worked in Vinny Jr.'s favour, didn't it?
Absolutely. Forget about Vinny maybe on that left-hand side, close to the touchline, receiving the ball, facing the goal and going one-on-one with his defender, which is usually what we've seen for the last few seasons under Carlo Ancelotti. It was a team that attacked wide and get the ball quickly on the wings. Very different now under Xabi Alonso, certainly tonight, because as we will see on the clips, everything pretty much went through the middle of the pitch with Güler, with Bellingham, with Valverde, and then at the end of it, very often there was Vinicius Jr. or young Gonzalo Garcia on the last goal. But for Vinicius, it's a different style, different game, and we will see on the clip, especially on the first goal, you see his run, and you see the ball from Bellingham. This is a team that will always be very good in transition. They were very good before, regardless of how they play, but look at that.
Two passes. With the pass before the pass.
Exactly. Fran Garcia, and then Bellingham straight there for Vinicius, one-on-one with very young Joan Gadu, and then he eats him alive for breakfast, really, and that's a great finish with his left foot. And this is what he's done all game long, stretching that defense. He's there, he's aware in the box. Great assist with that back heel, a la Guti, a la Benzema in the past as well. We've done similar assists too for Real Madrid, but I like it when he's more central. I know his game for a long time has been dribbling and being there with his pace, but again, this transition there, great through ball. This time it's for Gonzalo Garcia, who gets a little bit lucky against Gadu, and then a lovely finish from the 21-year-old to cap it off and win 3-0. But I think this also suit Vinicius and Bellingham and Gula and Valverde and Gonzalo or Mbappe when he's be back from his illness.
I mean, there's so many players we could have spoken about here. Bellingham was fantastic. Valverde was fantastic. Both being able to use the energy that they have all the time. We saw that with Valverde for his goal from Vinicius Junior's assist. Also, Trent, that little bit higher up, he looked like he was a bit more comfortable, had a lot more touches than we've seen previously as well. It looked really nice. One person highlighted there, Garcia. That man would probably not start. There's a guy called Mbappe who's quite good, and I think he might step in. But will the balance be lost a little bit if and when he steps into the team? Time will tell, but very, very impressive stuff from Alonso's Real Madrid side.